the tumbling and crazy just parts.
Oh, yeah, especially when it's in the dunes. When they come over and hit like a
nuts.
Razorback and it's just a yard sale of parts for 200 feet.
Explosion of sand, and then just you can't really see what's happening behind all the dust. You just see parts flying out of the dust cloud.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, love those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. I don't know, man. I'm kind of thinking about, we probably don't have a video that we can show without getting some kind of a copyright strike of those Dakar trucks.
Well, can we just critique it enough that it's not copyright?
Maybe so. Producer Nick, can you do us a favor? I know this is impromptu. I apologize. Go to YouTube and put in Dakar service truck.
Yeah,
there you go.
Just nuts. Wait. Go back and write Dakar service truck wreck.
I was going to do Dakar service truck drift.
No. It'll drift, trust me. I don't know if this video doesn't have any noise, but yeah, there's a service truck. It's kind of some rolling sandy hills here. It looks crazy already. He's about to catch some pretty good air. Boom. Yeah, he just took the top of a dune completely off. This is the Red Bull service truck, it appears. Caught a little there. To be honest, this video, that particular one, wasn't that cool. Now we're going into bikes.
We don't care about the bikes.
Yeah, no.
Put in service truck drift, though. That's probably going to get us a little bit of something.
That's a Chevy Silverado.
Chevy Silverado.
Sorry. Do Dakar service truck drift.
Yes.
That's our problem. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's something. Go ahead and No, I take that back. Just keep it muted. We're not going to be able to hear anything.
Yeah, these things are crazy. He's just full smoke show or cloud.
Dust,
so
sketchy. What appears to be the surface of Mars.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a Saudi Arabia advertisement.
And the Dakar starts in... Does it start in the Middle East and then end in Africa, or am I mixing that up?
Well, they've changed. It changes every couple of years, doesn't it? Because they did one that went through like the Amazon and stuff.
Years ago. Yeah. Wasn't there a Dakar Botswana at some point?
Yeah, they keep changing it around. I don't follow it real religiously. I kind of just see what's going on after the fact, and I also like watching they have the side-by-sides in the Dakar now. Those are pretty good.
Oh, I haven't watched a car in a really long time. I think when I was probably 8 or 9 until I was, I don't know, maybe 16, I probably religiously watched it every year.
So the Amazon one was actually really good because it was kind of a cool change-up. It wasn't Amazon. It was like South America, but it was like, through Chile and all kinds of stuff. And it was kind of a different scenery than you normally see on these.
Okay.
A lot of mud and stuff.
I was going to say, it seems like it's a lot of sand.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, all of this drifting, the trucks talk, makes me want to talk a little bit of drifting about you, Ryan. Let's go ahead and wet our whistles here. We've got a video of one of your Pro-Am attempts up here.
Hang on. Just right off the bat, this video. I don't know if you're like good friends with the dude starting this here.
Starting what? The guy I'm going against? Or?
No. The dude in the red shirt that's like starting you. No. What? Is his bottom half offset from his top half? Is that like a video glitch? I've never... I don't know what's going on.
Well, and he's wearing his headphones down. He's doing that real cool thing.
His shoulders and his heels are lined up 8 inches behind the front of his pelvis.
It's slightly banked.
It's like if I put a string between his heel and his shoulders, I could easily shoot arrows with him.
That's like the very end of the other bank, so it's got a pretty good degree to it. So
maybe that's what's going on.
Or standing at an angle.
Or maybe, do you remember we would put like 50 cents into the machines and we had these little figurines called homies? He looks like one of those.
Yeah, I remember.
Just needs a little more sagging pants.
Yeah. Oop, we got audio too. Oh, listen to that.
Yeah. You'll notice the entire time there's a ticking sound. I had a ginormous exhaust leak right at the head. So I'm sure that was probably a little bit down on power, and that probably counted for part of the all or nothing throttle on the bank.
Right.
It's pretty much full throttle or not at all with the amount of grip that the car had. It was pretty crazy.
And what should you have been making on this setup?
It should have made somewhere around like 450. But that was before we put the intake on, and we never really retuned after that, so not quite sure.
Was it a 5.3 or 5.7?
It's a 6.0.
Oh, a
It's
6.0.
Yeah, it's an iron block.
All right, they're taking off here. Ryan's chasing or following. Initiated.
Banging that limiter.
Ryan's getting in. He's getting in.
Yeah.
Nice transition. What was it like chasing people across that big banked corner?
It was different, and it was weird because my car is one of the faster cars and made the mid to higher horsepower range, but it was still like the quietest car. So I actually couldn't hear my car at all. The whole time, all I could hear was his car, but I don't know, I guess it kind of worked out because my car had to be fully matted through the whole bank anyways, so I just never lifted all the way through.
Now, we're not going to watch you spin out here, are we?
Oh, why not, right? That's part of it. So here, he really threw me off. So what I had heard is that my car was faster on the bank, or not faster, but it was one of the faster cars on the bank. So I think he was thought I was going to run away from him, and so he jumped the line a little bit, and it threw me off, being my first competition ever. And so I threw into the corner way late because I wasn't in front of him, and I was afraid I was going to hit his door. And that sent us both over the bank. I actually didn't even know he followed me until he came out of my cloud of dust.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know that he had followed. He followed me straight through all the way off and around.
Well, maybe he was just dedicated to following.
Oh, he was definitely dedicated till the end.
What was he running in that? What is that, an S14?
Yeah, it's a S14. He actually pretty well destroyed most of his front suspension. He was running Wisefab.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know if it was just his tie rods or not, but I know he bent some things following me over that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And this was your first run at Pro-Am?
This was my third run at Pro-Am, but this was my first time qualifying.
Oh, okay.
So, it was my third attempt at Pro-Am.
So wait, you can qualify after going over the bank?
Well, no, I had already qualified by myself.
Unqualified after going over the bank.
Yeah, they're like, get out of here. No more of this.
Please leave, sir.
Never come back.
This was not supposed to be amateur hour.
Always amateur hour.
And was that the last time you did some Pro-Am?
Yeah. That was last year.
And you're planning on doing it again this year? Or?
I'm not real sure yet. I'm not going to do it this year for sure.
You're not?
No, I will not compete this year at all. Whether I compete again or not, I don't know. I learned a lot. It was a ton of fun. I would like to do it again at some point, maybe more just for fun, just to go and compete, just to compete. But it's a lot of money, a lot of time, and just didn't quite work out. I mean, it was cool because I learned a lot. There was a lot of stuff with my V8 and the drift car and all that I learned, and it's definitely helped with the new S14 because I've applied. I mean, more or less, it's running all the same drivetrain underneath, but we just swapped the body, motor, all that. But so with going up there, learning everything I learned with that car, I made a lot of changes to it for the S14 and. Springs, we upped the springs a little bit. It was definitely a little too grippy. Come to find out, the weird part is that at Park it's perfect. It was perfect, super super grippy, but not too much. Right on everyone's doors, it was all good. Then we go up to Pro-Am, throw it in third gear at the bank, and it's like, oh, okay, well, there's too much grip now, and I'm basically full throttle all the time, or I'm no throttle at all. So it was quite a handful to drive.
I see. I gotcha.
That's kind of like when you have a well set up autocross car that then you take for a track day, and what was perfect for autocross is now the twitchiest, scariest track day.
Yeah.
Like you're going into the corner and you think, oh, I'll just let the back end come out a little bit, and then you're like, no, where are you going? Come back! Oh, I'm going the other direction. God, dear Jamie, Jesus, help me!
Yeah.
Well, and I know, like with that car, the strut tower was pushed over. I think it was like 3/4 of an inch. We measured it out one time. It was like 3/4 of an inch pushed in on the passenger side. So, like at Park, when you're doing 40 miles an hour or whatever it is, it's not that big of a deal. You don't notice it. But I really started noticing when we got when we get towards the end of the bank, coming off the bank and transferring through the power alley in there, it was like you could really feel it going from side to side, like how hard it would throw, and like how much steering was actually there, because the one side had like 5 degrees less steering or something like that than the driver's side.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty.
So how would you set your suspension up different? Slightly softer spring rates?
No, I went slightly harder.
You would go slightly higher.
I did. Yeah.
To set it up for...
Yeah, so when I swapped the suspension from the 13 to the 14, I went from... I was 450-pound springs before, and now I'm 550.
And that gives you less grip?
Yeah, more or less, because it's stiffer.
Okay.
It's going to have less squat.
I got you.
Yeah.
Hey, scoot up on that mic a little bit more. Now, Pat's Acres, of course, we're talking about, or Park. You said Park. It's Pat's Acres Racing Complex. But anybody in the Northwest that is into drifting probably knows Park better, right? Yeah. You kind of got started, and of course, keep in mind there's no statute of limitations here. So, whatever you want to say, but just keep that in mind. So, you started way back in the day. I think I met you when you were 18.
Yeah, 18, 19.
And you had just gotten your 240?
Yep, just gotten, that was the summer after I graduated high school.
And decided that the back roads of the Oregon Mid-Valley was where you were going to train, like a samurai.
Oh, yeah, religiously.
I wouldn't even say back roads, just like back parking lots and loading dock areas.
Yeah, I mean, it was more parking lots.
I watched him a lot.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, there was actually I got my GoPro, my first GoPro back then. This goes back, and I learned that they're worthless at night.
Oh,
yeah, pretty much all GoPros.
But
are worthless.
they do prove when someone doesn't touch their brakes and they just smash into you.
I had set it up with a rear view, and they were doing a little tandem, and one of the other guys slid into Ryan. He's like, "There was nothing I could do. Sorry, dude. There's nothing I could do." And I was like, "Dude, you were on the throttle till you hit him." He's like, "No, dude, I locked him up." And we're like, "Well, let's check the tape."
well, I think if you remember right, like me and him had pretty good arguments, kind of back and forth about it, just kind of bantering. And then you were like, "Hey, I have the video," and so me and you watched the video first before we even brought it to him. And I was just like, "Oh, I knew it. I knew it."
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
it was great.
And it was just full throttle, no brakes. Smash right into the side of me.
And then immediately,
nothing I could do.
Nothing I could do, bro. I'm so sorry. It was like, well, lift would be a good start.
Yeah, I let off the throttle first thing, maybe.
Who lets off the throttle? That's not drifting. Drift is all go all the time, right?
Pretty much.
So, how long did you have that first 240?
About a year.
Was it wrecked or sold?
Sold.
See, I have a theory.
Well, no, I mean,
it was wrecked and then sold.
Well,
wrecked and then ran and then sold. There were wrecks.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
That car's still around. It's over in Idaho.
It's still around?
Yeah,
you know that for a fact?
Rochelle still has the car. It's over in Idaho.
Oh, Rochelle. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, Rochelle, you know what? You got a wrecked car.
Oh, she knows. She knows. She still gives me shit about it sometimes.
You know, my wife had an S13 240 for a little while. She loved that car. But then many speeding tickets later and other various moving violations, we decided it was probably best if that car made its way to its next owner. And I remember these two kids came to look at it, and he actually, the one guy called his buddy a 240 guru. Okay?
Ooh, this ought to be good.
Who, by the way, did not diagnose a failed timing chain tensioner. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is we took it for a drive. It had a short shifter in it, and this kid just kept misshifting over and over and over and killed the car a couple times. And his buddy's like, "Nah, man, that clutch is all screwed up, dude. The transmission's all screwed up. Something's way wrong." And I just looked at the kid driving, and I said, "This is my wife's daily driver, and she never kills it. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with you." And now he was very interested in the car. And I found out that like 6 weeks after he bought the car from us, he wrapped it around a tree.
That's pretty typical. I've sold at least 2 cars that have ended up around poles or trees.
I think that is basically where the 240s end. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's where they all go to die.
Oh, tree, you're in my way.
Exactly. So you had that first 240 for a year, and you had the bug, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. From the first time I started drifting, it was just the best thing ever. It's just the funnest thing you could do in a car. I don't know. I just said from the
second funnest thing you can do in a car.
What's the first funnest thing, Coy?
Yeah.
How about the funnest thing you can do in a car by yourself? How's that?
With your clothes
There
on.
you go. There you go.
Jeez, you guys. So what was your, and again, just more 240s in your life?
Yep, pretty much. I mean, I haven't only had 240s, but since I've had one 240, I've owned at least one, if
Right.
not 3 or 4.
4, 5, 6. Mm-hmm. You drove that one S13 for a while that had a bent frame, and you knew it had a bent frame, and you just compensate for it, right?
I mean, that's the car that's the car I competed in. That's the
Right.
same car. Yeah. So that car.
That's 240s in general.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, looking back at it now, of course, I would have just bought a different shell. But back then you're dumb kid, and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't have any money, and so you're like, I'm not going to buy another $500 shell. I'm going to build this one. And then when you go throw it third gear at a bank, you're like, whoa, this thing has problems. After I've put it in 6 ditches and hit a couple pulls and hit Kyle a few times, there's enough things tweaked on that car to.
Is that the car that went over the embankment at Pat's Acres? Wasn't that you?
No,
that's the car he has now.
That's the car. I forgot. Yeah, that's the car I have now, Andy. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I wanted to make sure that we rolled back around to that.
Speaking of embankments, we want to get. We always ask all our listeners that are car guys this question. I want to know like your biggest win or proudest moment, and then your most embarrassing tale of autocross, or of like drifting. Automotive.
So the biggest fail would definitely be back in the day, when 240s, there wasn't a whole lot of choices for what you did. That was before the whole V8 craze and all that. So it was really RB, SR, KA, CA, the typical 240 motors. And so what I decided at the time that I was going to be the cool guy and I was going to turbo my KA. And everyone told me not to, of course, and so I did it anyways, and we drove 3 hours up to Auburn, Washington, got it dyno tuned. It blew out the ringlands on the dyno. Drove 3 hours home, and then they had announced that at this time there was drifting up at Hoodoo, and they had just announced that if you wanted to drive at Pat's Acres, that you had to come qualify, and that was like I think a week away. And my car was sitting with a blown-up motor because we had just go to get it tuned and blown-up motor. So
that makes perfect sense, honestly. Again, it's just 240 problems.
Yeah, and so, of course, me being the cool KA guy, I order my KA is better than SR shirt and all this stuff that I'm going to wear to this event, because I just got my sweet KA done. Well, now it's trash sitting in the back of the shop. So we find an SR. We drive 4 hours. Go get this SR, come back. We stayed up for 2 days.
Once again, I ask for your support.
Always. So we spent 2 days putting in this SR, and of course I wear my KA's better than SR shirt.
Of course.
At the event, and I think I got asked probably at least 50 times, like, "Hey, doesn't your car have an SR?" Like, "Yep, yeah, it does." And, people laugh, walk away, whatever. But it's all good. It's all part of the fun, right?
Yeah. I mean, you were kind of doing the ironic thing before the hipsters were.
Yeah, kind of.
And then let's do your biggest win or proudest moment.
Biggest win? Well, actually, it was right before I drove off the bank.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
38 seconds after that video ended.
Definitely it was that Pro-Am event. Just qualifying, I think, was huge. Because we had been up, that was the third time I'd been to Pro-Am, and the first 2 times, just catastrophic failures with car. So just different things here and there. We had 2 front shocks blown out, as well as no power steering the event before.
Jeez.
That was, everyone that was there at Pro-Am was pretty much like, what's wrong with your car and why are you driving it? Because like the whole entire bank, it would probably do about 4 front end hops, and you could visibly see it from like the other side of the track. You could see the front end of my car hopping because both front shocks were blown. And I have a motor that weighs 280 pounds over stock. So there's a ton of weight up there, and then I had 2 blown shocks, and it just couldn't compensate for it, and it was just bouncing all the way through the bank. And
Were you still street drifting at this time?
No.
Okay,
No.
all right.
Absolutely not.
I was going to say that's it's starting to sound safer and safer.
No.
I do have a question. I've hung out with you for years and a lot of the other drifters. I have noticed a tendency that seems to be more drift related than it is other forms. Maybe circle track guys do this too. Do you still do 99% of your repairs the day before or night before?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's funny because
You go to a drift event, there's no one there that slept more than 2 hours.
It's
because
funny.
they worked all night to get ready.
It's always that way, and it's funny because there's even other podcasts that I listen to of like guys who are higher up in drifting and all that, and they say the same thing. He's like, "Nope, we're still last minute." Like, "Yep, still do the same thing. We're smashing on the car the week before," and it's like, I don't know why, but
Yeah, no, I remember like asking
Always.
that. We went, was me and Ryan, some other guys were trying to get an event going at Park, and we went to do a track test. And I told my boss, like, I'm going to come in at noon. We're going to leave early in the morning, go do this track test. I'll be back at noon. And I showed up at your guys' shop area at like 8 that morning, and they had a motor like halfway in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like on the hoist halfway in. And I was like, we got an hour before we said we'd be there. They're like, yeah, we're going to be a little late. So then at noon, they were ready to roll. So then I called my boss and I was like, yeah, we're going to leave now. So shit happened.
Sorry, I'm not gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that kind of thing happened quite a bit several
Yeah, I
other
mean,
times. So
that's-
I wondered if that was still like a cool thing you guys do.
Yeah, that's the cool thing that all drifters do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel like
really
if you
enjoy
like
it.
prepped the weekend before and then you like slept the night before the event, that it could possibly enhance your performance?
Why would I do that?
Well, I know.
Wow, Coy.
Look, I know it would throw off your game because you'd be like so awake. Maybe
How-
you wouldn't do as dangerous.
how are you supposed to bring up the hype when you haven't stayed up for 2 days straight?
Exactly.
Well, I'm just saying. Like, I feel like there is a physical aspect to automotive sports, where like there's a
Oh, there
mental.
is.
You know what I mean? Like you need to be sharp as a tack. You need focus. And I feel like when you're on 18 Red Bulls in 2 hours,
I feel like,
of like light naps.
what
Ryan,
would get-
Ryan, I have the perfect response for him.
Yep.
Yeah, why don't you just relax there, Coy?
I'm just
These guys
trying
know
to
what they're
nail
doing.
this- I'm trying to nail this down. It's just a fad I've seen that I feel like you could easily have a leading edge on other guys if you just worked on your stuff 1 week before.
Okay. There's a reason why the professional race car drivers don't do well in. Oh wait, never mind. He might have a point, Ryan. I'm just saying.
No, I definitely have. I don't do that as much as I used to, and it's probably more just because the car's more prepared and it's not such a piece of crap. I mean,
Well, yeah.
because really, for the most part, other than making changes to the new car at Park and all that, between events, it's just like tightening bolts and stuff. Like I'll jack it up and I'll tighten everything underneath of it just to make sure it's tight. But other than that, like there's not a whole lot of stuff that I'm having to change. And for the most part, I mean, it's not like I hit anything or really just destroy all my stuff. So
I feel like you've gotten to the point where you do the off-season rebuild, and then
yeah, I try
push
to.
your car all the way through, the whole season, and
Yeah,
then do a
that's-
winter time.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of, and I kind of feel like that has a lot to do with it too. And I know for me, like especially when we were going through all of the growing pains of Pro-Am and all that, like money. It's like it might seem like some stuff is really last minute, but sometimes it's like, oh, we just came home for this event, and I got to wait 2 weeks for money, and then I got to wait a week for this to get here, and the event's in 4 weeks. So then you push it, you're getting your parts a week from the event.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And of course, you went from the SR. I remember your car having an SR. As a
Oh,
matter
I
of
went
fact,
through tons of motors.
I was about to say, I think I remember having a few SRs.
No, I think I only had one SR.
Did you go back to the KA after
So
that?
yeah, I had the KA in the first car, and then I had a KA in the second car, and then we went to SR, and then I went to CA, and I blew that one up too. Head gaskets, holes and pistons. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and the CA18, that's the fun way to go
that-
because there are no parts for it.
Yeah, that CA
Yeah.
was the one that was halfway back in the car. That was the motor I was
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about earlier. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
And it kind of ran when we got
ran
there.
good
Like
enough.
it had
It
issues.
only caught on fire twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Had problems.
And of course, fun fact, I thought that the CA18 was just an RB20 with two cylinders missing.
I mean, might as well be.
Well, I heard no. Like you can't really use the internal parts between the two.
No, you can't. But I mean, they're if you look at them and you do all that, like they're pretty much the same. It's
but it's kind of bad news for people that have RB20s, you know.
Yeah, but RB20s don't have all the problems that the CAs have because the CAs are just a really old motor, and from the way I understand it, a lot of their problems is in like the tuning and all that. Like the ECUs are just pretty junky.
That's fair. That's fair. So at what point did you decide to make the leap into the V8?
That would be John's speed. So
yeah.
after I blew up my CA, we did go back to another KA. That was just out of sheer boredom.
Sure.
We got bored one day, and it was raining a lot, and so we went and bought a bunch of KAs and just went to park a bunch of times and beat on our cars while we were doing trying to get different motors and stuff. So we picked them up for, I think, like $300 a piece or something like that. So might as well.
Now, I'm sorry. I know we were just talking about motors, but you just reminded me. You were one of the instrumental people in getting Pat Sakers on board with the drifting, right?
Not completely. So there was actually the guys before us. They got Hoodoo started, and then they got the events going at Pat's Acres for, I think, almost 7 or 8 months. And then we, as in me and Kyle Stryker, we had caught wind that they were not going to show up to the next event. Now, it was planned. It was scheduled. We called the track owner, and he was like, oh, yeah, there's still an event, and this is like a week before the event. And we knew that they weren't going to show up. And so at that point in time, we just said, all right, let's do it. And so we called him, and he was pretty much like, look, I don't know what to do. We're going to have to cancel the event. And, at that time, we're like, no, don't do that. That's dumb. We just wanted to drift. I mean, more than anything, we just wanted to go out there and drive. So we were like, don't do that. We will hold the event. And so there was a whole lot of growing pains with that and a whole lot of learning and this and that. But
I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but by the way, that group that first started this whole thing, I'm pretty sure they are the ones that got Hoodoo shut down.
This is correct.
Yeah, no, there used to be autocross events there, and then through their actions, there aren't anymore.
I wish there still was. Even the autocrosses up there were sweet. Like that's just such an awesome.
It's huge.
It's just such a huge.
For those who
pad.
don't know, Hoodoo is a small ski resort, and in the summertime, their massive parking lot, they would let the autocross clubs use it, and then start letting drift clubs use it.
Jordan Lindbaum, by the way, says, I told Ryan the CA would catch fire, and it did.
He also told Ryan there was nothing he could do before he smashed into it.
Yeah, you should probably, you'll have to go
throttle.
back and watch that portion of the video later, Jordan.
Fair enough. But you were kind of instrumental in keeping it going, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the
definitely.
point.
We kept it going, and then, we all had our problems, and our group fell out, and so at that point in time...
Again, something that the drift community shares.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's just great times back then. But so we just went and talked to the owner of Pat's Acres and told him that he should just run the events himself and quit dealing with all the side people and all the business, because we just wanted drifting to continue, and that was our only real spot to drift. So pretty much at that point in time, it was like, do whatever you got to do to keep drifting around. So
And Pat's Acres, I don't think we explained that that's actually a shifter kart track.
Yeah.
It's
Go-kart track.
Yeah, it's like a 125 or 250cc shifter kart track that they start holding drift events on. And they've done a couple Time Attack-esque things there. I went to 2 of them, I think, but for insurance purposes and stuff, it didn't work well.
Yeah, the cars, you can get going way too fast gripping around that course that it's just by insurance.
Well,
I was going way too fast in my protege.
Yeah, you can get going fast.
The main problem was, like, to do a legit Time Attack or something, you
have to run the straight, right?
Yeah, you need to do an actual lap.
Yeah.
Where then they tried to do some kind of part lap, but then they had a start-stop timer instead of just. It didn't work well. It was
I feel
fun.
like you would
fun.
have to do like a sector shootout type thing. You know what I mean? You'd have to like run it kind of like we do, where you'd have to go from like the start line to like the second to last corner or whatever. That little straight, and then just make everyone shut down. But
they did. That's how they kind of did it. The 2 times they did it, but I wasn't organizing or anything, but I was told that just with insurance stuff, it wasn't working well. So
Yeah, which
That's
is
a
kind of
shame.
unfortunate because that would be a sweet spot.
it was so fun.
And there isn't really any. I mean, there's PIR, but other than that,
Well,
there's
yeah,
not
but-
really much around here for.
Yeah, it's very expensive to go run a
Yeah.
track day at PIR compared
Exactly.
to what they would run there.
I never
I've
told
always
you
said-
guys this, but I actually had a dream years ago that I bought Pat's Acres.
I wish you would have.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
me too.
Well, as soon as I woke up, I was like, "That's never happening." But yeah, it was in a dream. It was very bizarre.
I've always hoped that Pat's Acres would do like a Friday night time attack or something, just like Fridays
Yeah.
from like 5 to 9 or something. But
Yeah, I've always really because it was something that I never really got to be involved with. But the what was the event? Your guys' event, Drift Dragon Autocross.
they called it the SmackDown
Yeah.
back then.
I've
yeah.
always really wanted another to do more events like that. Like
That was
really cool back then.
Yeah, I forgot you came to some of those. That was a super unique event that I think Northwest Autocross Association put on. And
I thought it was Willamette Motor Club.
No, it was the one out of Seaside. It wasn't Willamette.
Mm.
It had to have been Northwest Autocross, NWA.
Yeah, it was NWA.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Well, it was kind of a joint thing, though. I mean,
there were a lot of members in both clubs and stuff. I'm not really sure what all, but I
even
mean,
the
it
Emerald
kinda-
Empire guys had some too.
They did and it was a team event, so you'd enter as a team, and you had to have, I think, at least 4 cars or something, and then they averaged your best drag, and then your best drag time, your best drift score, and your best autocross time,
Mhm.
and then the team that had the highest points won. It was a super fun, crazy party at night, because you'd have all these amateur teams, street teams there.
Mhm.
And mixed with like autocross heads and drift dudes, and hardcore drag guys, it was kind of 3 opposing sections, and then all brought together by this event, and just it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I really think that we need a lot more of those. To be honest, there's just not enough of the mixing of all the different car communities anymore, and there's just not enough of those kind of events that go on around here.
I agree. It's really hard to come up with a spot to do an event like that.
Oh,
Number
yeah,
one,
definitely
that's
is.
just coming up with location and then insuring it, and then making everybody happy with how you're scoring it.
I think
one of the main
I think
problems.
everyone tries to go too big too fast. I think a lot of the problem with the people around here is that they try to their idea is this big, but what they can accomplish is this big, you know, and so they shoot for all these things, and then they kind of stretch the rules a little here, stretch the rule a little there, or just do something that's kind of gray area, and then they kind of get themselves in trouble, and then not necessarily in trouble, but people just kind of turn away I don't know if I like that anymore,
The SmackDown event, I think the biggest drama part of it is the team or the Autocross Association that ran it was also competing in it.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were, I'm not saying that scandalous they're cheating, but when you have an event of that size, you can't be competing and running it.
Well,
you
I was
have to
talking about
just run
Salem
it.
Fairgrounds too. I wasn't just talking about the SmackDown. I was just talking about more in general. I feel like all the stuff that starts to come up, you'll have this club and they'll go to do this event, and it just ends up being too big, too quick, and they can't handle it, and then it just gets out of control. I feel like.
While I agree, I more agree with Coy, because there were a lot of issues with them trying to compete, and there was a lot of dispute there.
There definitely was,
and there was drama because there was all this, we obviously were the best and we had the fastest cars. It's
there were some clear timing errors that had happened. We're this dude did not run this time 18 seconds faster than everybody. He's in a stock 350Z. Clearly did not happen. They're we got to just believe the timers. It's and there was some stuff like that. And each year there was kind of weird things. One of my favorite things that ever came out of that, though, was on the forums. I think it was Car Freaks back in the day.
Oh,
was a popular
yeah.
Forum, which I heard just went online again. I haven't checked. Carfreaks.net or something.
I'm checking right now.
Anyways,
Wasn't it FREEK?
I think so. Anyhow, they were, there was a bunch of drama, and on the forums, this is how it should have went down this, and one of the guys running it was look, guys, seriously, if you win, you get a T-shirt, and how many friends do you lose, and kind of went on and on. I said, look, man, I got plenty of friends and not enough T-shirts. I'm here to win. And I got upvoted on the forum, and then that got people were just It was like the forum version of crowd surfing.
It's there. It's up. There are very few people talking, but it's there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sign back up. I wonder if my old
gonna
login
say.
and stuff work.
I kind of doubt it, but wow, this is about to go south real fast if you and I are joining.
I think the one that is like my most memorable from back then was right wheel drive, and I only remember because everyone around here was like gunning to get in. Everyone wanted a right wheel drive. They wanted on the forum, and Jordan Lindblom, it's another Jordan story. He was trying to get on there, and
Oh man, I hope he's still
him.
listening.
Oh, they hated him. Alex and all those guys hated him. Dimitri, they all hated him with a passion at that time.
Look, to
'cause
be
he was
fair,
the driftard.
to be fair, a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I mean,
To say Alex and Dimitri hated him, I mean that's a little.
Like I
No,
talk,
they didn't
like
hate
I
him,
like
but-
Alex.
They
and we
were
talk,
among the people who.
but, like
Yeah.
I see Alex and we talk and like it's like we act like friends, but I'm certain he hates me at some point. Like, no, it's,
oh, I know he despises me. It's all good.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Every
just
time
so
I
people
see him, I
know,
know
though,
it.
right wheel drive was and still is, I think, a functioning forum.
It is I know they at least have their Facebook page still.
So, and back in the day, it was to get in, you had to you'd log into the forum, and you would be only granted super limited access. And you had to kind of write like a plea letter of why you should be in
Please,
the forum.
sir, may I have some
And
more?
they thoroughly shut down Jordan, and
Where they would just trash people,
Oh.
and like they'd get on. I mean, it got
Oh, yeah.
ruthless.
oh yeah, and they just trashed him up and down. And I remember I went to Alex's house to buy some 240 part from him, and this is like my first time ever meeting the guy. I didn't even know that he even knew who I was. But apparently he did. And so we show up and we're talking and this and that. And he goes, "Hey man, are you a part of Right Wheel Drive?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "All right, well, I'm going to accept you just because you're Jordan's friend." And I denied him, and I just started dying. It was hilarious.
That's so funny. I remember when I got into
It's
right
such an
wheel
Alex
drive.
move.
There was a little bit of like fanfare, not fanfare. That's not a wrong word, but a little like pomp and circumstance when I got added to right wheel drive, and I kind of feel bad now because Alex was like, "Hey, bro, you made it. Like you're good people. We're happy to have you." And I was just like, "Sorry, what? What am I being added to?" "No, right wheel drive." And I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And I actually felt a little bit bad about that because it was like it should have been more of a thing. I felt like that put a damper on our friendship.
I'm pretty sure I got denied.
Mm-hmm.
The way I remember it. I think I got in eventually. I can't remember my whole right wheel drive situation.
Well,
But
because we got deep into that stuff. I mean, I have some memories I don't think I'm going to talk about because... And here's the thing. People don't realize, like, when I started trying to take social media seriously, do you remember how long my Facebook page was just a troll account?
oh yeah,
It's not. It's not
Well, that's the
still.
thing is-
I'm trying to go legit now, but forever, for the longest time, I had like 90 people on my Facebook and super limited. I never posted any photos of myself because I said horrible things. not horrible things like racist things, but horrible things just like the trashiest of trash talk among the car forums. It was a brutal time.
well, yeah,
That was the Wild West, you guys.
well, depending on your age, people don't understand. Like forums were the most powerful, kind of still are the most powerful, like automotive tool. You're like, man, how can I do this? You start, boom, I go straight to the forums.
Oh, yeah.
And there's hardly any activity, but as long as they stay up, there's just a wealth of knowledge for pretty much any vehicle on dedicated forums for that vehicle. I mean, I got an FJ Cruiser. I need to know something specific. I go to the forums.
Right.
And like that, and now Facebook has kind of taken over, and there's not much activity, but there's just so much knowledge on those, so many how-tos, just pictures. Like, I cannot say enough how much forums pushed forward, like tuning and just car building in general.
Oh yeah,
but they
motor
were
swapping
also
and all that.
motor swapping,
Oh,
all
yeah.
that. Just there's no way to share that information as fast as it got shared without that.
Right.
But they were also like cyberbullying on a level that would make these kids' head explode these days.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
people do not understand what went on these forums. Like when your life is kind of involved in this car. This forum has all the information that you need about this car. It's got all the guys that you need to ask questions. And if you do something that makes them not like you, like it makes your life miserable. Just straight miserable. Yeah. And like a lot of forums now are heavily moderated, but back then it was the wild. Like they wouldn't mod much.
No,
Like,
no. The moderators
the
would
modders-
often be the ones that were
yeah.
cyberbullying the most.
The mods that actually, like, yeah, they would sell tickets to the hanging. They were selling popcorn at the hanging. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I ran across a car. I saved the photo. I didn't want to put it out there because I don't want to be making fun of the guy. But do you remember the Anna Mustang? The red V6 Mustang with the big
yeah,
anime
of
girl
course.
across the side?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I ran across a profile, and seems like a nice enough guy. I followed him on Instagram mostly because I was just shocked by what I was seeing. But he has some of the trashiest, like, I don't know, breastiest anime girls just stuck all over his Mitsubishi Lancer, and he takes it around to cons. And I saw that, and I just thought, wow. If he joined one of the automotive forums right now and was like, hey, what's up, guys? This is my base Lancer.
Oh, man.
Covered in big-tittied with horns, wearing milkmaid outfits, just, I don't know, the most outlandish stuff. I'll have to show you a photo. You guys that are listening at home, you can PM me and ask me for the profile. I'm not advocating cyberbullying,
I'm sorry,
but
what did you say?
and I will not give it. I will not give it because I am an upstanding human being citizen.
You said PMU?
PM, DM.
Okay. It's not what it sounded like. Sound like I swore you said you could PN me.
Oh, no,
Yeah, I was
no.
like, wow, you're way weirder than that, dude.
You can BM me.
Yeah, okay. It's clear now. I was wildly confused on. It's like wrong podcast, Andy.
Yeah, no, I know. Wrong hole, Coy. Calm down.
The furries aren't here yet.
I don't know. I think the furries are here and they're thriving.
Well, I mean,
Well, yeah,
Producer Nick,
Nick, sure,
obviously,
of
but-
course. Oh man, I'm going to tell you something, Ryan. The only thing hotter than your 1JZ S14 is this studio. So I think it's about
Yep.
time to wrap it up, you guys. What do you think?
yeah.
I want to thank everybody for tuning into the live stream. We've had a ton of activity, and I appreciate that. Don't forget, question of the day, first female winner at the Dakar Rally. If you answer that in the comments or you tag us in a post, you are going to...
Wasn't Jesse Combs then?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'll think about it.
Okay. Yeah, you work on that, okay? You work on that. If you share out this stream, just not that part that Coy keeps alluding to, we will give you a second entrance into this little contest. And on Wednesday, we're going to announce a winner. Somebody's going to get a free T-shirt from our Teespring store. Link in the description, so go and check that out. Thank you so much for doing that. Thanks for tuning in. I want to thank producer Nick for being here. Coy, as always. Ryan, thank you, my friend. This is surely not the last time we're going to see you.
Oh, definitely not.
We just go way, way too far back. And seriously, the history of drifting in Oregon is really tied up in this guy. So we got to keep it rolling. Yeah, Coy's nodding his head. All right, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you being here. And for Coy, Ryan, producer Nick, and Jake the intern, whenever we see him, this is Andy, and we will see you next time.